would you like to be able to unlock your purpose in a distracted world? Mark Dallimore will tell us how. And what's so special about Mark is he's a purpose alignment coach and founder of thebuddhaspot.com, where he supports conscious professionals to reconnect with their deeper why and create lives rooted in clarity, freedom, and impact. So, Mark, tell us more about, first of all, why is it so important to live a life that is aligned with your true purpose? And what's the impact of living an aligned life on your overall success, productivity, and, abundance? Heal Podcast with Lily Patrascu shares longevity and anti-aging techniques to stay young forever, increase energy, overcome addiction, and live your longest, best life ever. Shared by world's most innovative, alternative, and traditional health thought leaders, healers, and doctors. Discover quantum healing strategies to heal your mind, body, and soul.
Yeah, big question. Thank you, Lee, for having me on, first of all. Purpose is such a big and deep subject. And for a lot of people, myself included, up until about 13 years ago, I thought if someone asked me what that purpose was, I might have said, it's the actions I'm taking, it's the job I'm doing, it's the work I'm doing. But over the last 13 years of my own journey, I experienced a lot of different modalities, a lot of different healing modalities. And I understood that purpose goes much, much deeper into the heart of the human experience. And I make two different distinctions now when it comes to purpose. I'll talk about the work of outer purpose, which is our doing, the actions we take in the world. But there's a much deeper level to purpose, which is the level of being. And this is the inner work, the work of awareness, the work of healing, and the work of connecting to our intuition. And a lot of people, when they take the path towards purpose, they miss out on this crucial inner aspect of purpose. And, there's some stats out there. There was a Gallup State of the Global Workplace study that comes out every year, and it indicated that something like 79% of people feel disengaged in their work. And something like 2/3 are not thriving in terms of their well-being. So when I heard those stats, it made me realize just how big a problem this is. So many people are working the way that isn't aligned, isn't aligned with their passions. They're not giving their all. They're not accessing their true potential. And so there's so much of human potential is wasted because we're not clear on our purpose. But more importantly, if we're not clear on our inner purpose, so we're not aligned with who we truly are, that awareness of our internal world, then what happens is that a lot of people get very burnt out and overwhelmed with different emotions that come up during the day. And, this has a big impact on our output and the results of our work. So it's very important that we are very aware of our inner purpose. We're regularly healing ourselves. We're aware of our internal conditioning. And that enables us to, create a truly aligned impact, a true positive impact in the people that we're here to serve.
Thank you. Tell us more about how someone can start finding their purpose. And I find that a lot of times it can be kind of like a windy path to get there. I think I remember many years ago, I was probably like 35 or so, and I still didn't know my purpose. And I think that when you don't know your purpose, it feels a little bit like you're wandering on the street, almost like this person that doesn't know where you're going, and when you don't know where you're going, it's like you feel lost, and you feel like anything you do doesn't really matter because you don't know where you're going. So I'm wondering, what's your blueprint for someone to uncover their purpose and to make sure that's actually their purpose and not someone else's purpose, like not their family's purpose, not their friends who pressured them to be something else that they're not, but their true aligned purpose?
Yeah, great question. It's this essentially is why so many of us end up working in a way that doesn't fulfill us, and we feel disengaged because nobody talks to us about purpose as we're growing up. Nobody talks to me about purpose when I was in school, for example. It was basically about, find a job that's going to pay you well, that there's, a career where there's jobs available. And so for a lot of us, and there are a few different reasons for this, we go through life and we are making decisions for what I call our conditioned mind. We're making decisions from our thoughts. We live in our heads, basically. Our thoughts are thinking mind is very much focused on safety and survival. So if there's a decision in life, we tend to make a decision that is, going to be, seems safe, but not necessarily aligned with our passions. There's this deeper inner voice, which really is more of a felt sense. You could say more of our intuition, which really I see as the voice of our higher self, which you call this gut instinct, you call this the heart, but this is very much the voice of our higher self. And the higher self is very much more interested in what is going to really truly fulfill us and, create alignment with that eternal aspect of ourselves. But because we've been taught to live in our heads, most of us have lost connection to this felt sense, to the intuition. And so we're going through life, we're making decisions from our intellect. And so a lot of us, when we get to this kind of middle age or, in our 30s, 40s, we turn around and we go, I feel like I've lost myself somewhere along the way here. I feel I don't know what I'm passionate about. I don't work in a way that lights me up inside. And so there is this inquiry that happens, as you said, Lily, for a lot of people where they just go, this isn't it. This is how I felt in my career in advertising. I just felt like there's something else I'm supposed to be doing here. I'm just working in a way that pays well, but doesn't give me any true fulfillment. And so there is this yearning then for deeper meaning in life. And so where I start with people when they get to this point, when they come to me, is very much, okay, it's very difficult to create a new life for ourselves and uncover a new purpose with all this old energy in the way, this old conditioning. So the first of all, the work is very much focused, as I said, on the inner purpose work, which is to start focusing inside, become aware of these conditioned thoughts that are guiding us towards a life of survival and safety, and realize that we are, number one, we're not our thoughts. As most people realize on the path of spiritual awakening or self-improvement, they start to realize, okay, I'm not my thoughts. And that is the first point where you can actually start to change your destiny. Until then, you're kind of like the hamster on the wheel, just cycling through the same thoughts over and over again. This is why people end up stuck in patterns in their life, because they kind of just following the same thoughts the whole time. As soon as you can step back and witness your thought process, suddenly you're connected with who you really are, and you have a choice as to which thoughts you want to follow. This thought is going to guide me towards the same path that I always go down, or I can let that go and wait for a thought to come in that is more, it's going to take me down a different path. The second point is to start to bring awareness from that head-based conditioning back into the body, to feel through all this uncomfortable, difficult emotions that have just stored up from the past. Basically, if we haven't got a regular healing practice, then emotions and traumas just build up and up and up and eventually overwhelm us. So the work really is to start bringing awareness to these uncomfortable sensations in the body, so that the body can start to process them. When we clear out all that old energy from the past, it makes space for something new to come in. And then we can start to work on as I said, the outer purpose work, which really is aligning with our values and our passions and our gifts and a unique value that we can offer the world and who we're here to serve. But first of all, it has to start with that inner work, because until then, if we don't clear out the past, we'll continue to meet the same problems, hit the same limiting beliefs, the same procrastination or self-sabotage will just keep coming up over and over again. So we have to clear all that out the way first to create room for this new purpose, for this new future we want to create for ourselves.
Thank you. Tell us about what kind of environment should someone be in order to unlock their purpose. And the reason I ask you this is because sometimes I find myself, let's say, living in an environment that is not conducive to anything, because it feels cluttered, or it feels like it's the same old, or even like the energy of the place is not great. When you're surrounded by, let's say, a life partner that you dislike or that you don't get on so well, or, there could be so many different elements that actually lead to you feeling stuck or blocked in some way. But what I find is that every time I travel, for example, and I'm staying in a hotel, I could write actually an entire book in 3 days. Or let's say I'm sitting on the plane for 8 hours and there's no Wi-Fi. Then, I get this journal with me and I'm like writing all these different ideas about what I want to do and this kind of thing. So that's when I feel more aligned with what I want to do. And that's how I'm kind of like more likely to kind of go towards this path of finding my true purpose. So I'm wondering, what should someone do? What kind of environment should someone seek to be in order to remain aligned with their true purpose?
That's a really interesting question, actually. I mean, I can speak from my own experience. When I had this point in my life where I felt like, okay, I'm done with advertising. I don't resonate with anything I'm doing here. I feel like I'm just promoting and selling products I don't really believe in. And I had this feeling of, I know there's something more to me. I know I want to make a difference and have a positive impact on the world, but I've got no idea how I'm going to do it. And you're right. Initially I was still working in that kind of corporate environment, and it's difficult to make any real change when your consciousness is taken up by this job that is it's supposed to be 9 till 6, but it often is 9 till 7, 8. And so your whole life is taken up by this particular job that you're looking to move away from. For me, what was really important at the time was I went freelance, and I was able to work from home, and that gave me a bit of headspace. I was able to pick and choose when I worked, and the projects that I worked on. And so I had this time to just go, okay, I can take some time to do a bit of that inner work. I can focus inwardly. I can look to find a coach that can help me. Because the other thing I was going to say is that what really helped me was to have support during this time, like to try and do this inner work and realize a new purpose for yourself, and to try to do it on your own. Very, very difficult. But I worked with a coach, and just having somebody there coming from a different perspective, who's able to look at things in a different way, who's already walked the path, made a big difference for me. I often tell people, if you're it's very difficult to heal and involve yourself on your own, because you're very much stuck in your own trauma and conditioning. You're just, again, same pattern, same energy. You're stuck within your own energetic system. If you've got somebody there who can reflect things back to you, a different energetic template, they can bounce ideas off, give reflections, that makes a big difference. And now, because of that, and because of the great shifts I made working with different coaches and different communities, my program now is working within a group environment, because I found that big shifts often happen when we work in groups, and we're with different people working with us also on a similar path who can support us along the way. So I do think it's very important to reach out for support. Number one, to find yourself a coach or to work within a community, because otherwise if you're very much working with around people that are familiar with that old energy, like you're still in that corporate career, for example, you're going to have people who are just reflecting back to you same limiting beliefs, the same way of working, and so it's very difficult to break free from that. But if you can find another community and a coach that can allow you to believe in something greater, in a different way of working and a purpose-led life, then that can help you to free yourself from a lot of that old conditioning. The other thing I found is that just one other thing, when I work with people now and we start this inner work of healing and raising awareness, often external reality will change to match this change in internal vibration. Basically, external reality is just basically a reflection, like a mirror of our internal energetic system. I'm quite deep here, but basically, if you change your inner world, external reality will change to match it. So I found this, as I started to heal myself, we moved from our little flat that we had in Langley, and now we're in a bigger house in Bracknell. You'll also find that different people come into your life, like the old people used to be drawn to your energy, be a match for your energy, start to move out of your life, and new people start to come into your life that are more of a fit for your new vibration. So it just happens quite naturally that your environment will change as you heal yourself and raise your vibration. And the old phrase, you are the average of the 7 people that you are around most. And that's so true. If you look at the 7 people that you interact with most, you're probably going to be an average of those people. So if you can shift the people that you're engaging with and you're in your environment, then you'll find that your energy starts to match theirs, and you can start to free yourself from this old energy that you're aligned with.
Thank you. What are some great empowering habits or empowering routines that will provide an empowering context for you to thrive and for you to unlock your purpose?
Yeah, well, I would say the number one routine that I start with in all my programs is what I call energetic hygiene. As I've already talked about, healing is absolutely vital if we want to change our lives. And the one practice I help people integrate into their lives is a practice where you can reach out for support whenever you need it. So trauma just isn't just like a one and done thing that happens at some point in your life. Trauma builds up. We all have different things that happen in our day. As Lily, you're an entrepreneur. There'll be times where challenges build up, where there's a challenge with a client or what a supplier, whatever it might be. If you're in a work situation, you may have a client that's difficult or a team member. All kind of things can happen in your working day, and energy builds up, stress builds up. And if we don't have a way of regularly clearing this energy out of our system, it will build up and up and up and eventually overwhelm us. So it's very important to have a practice that we can integrate into our lives, where we feel into our system, we relax body and mind, and we receive support. It doesn't have to be physically in the same room. It can be like we are now on Zoom, and you will template the other person's system. If they're coming from a place of ground, your system will relax and processing will automatically start to happen. Energy will start to move out of the body. This is absolutely vital, because we don't have a daily energetic hygiene practice. It's like having a dental hygiene practice. We just do that twice a day, every day, without thinking about it. And if we don't, then what happens? Eventually plaque builds up and our teeth, we have all kinds of dental problems. The same with our energetic system. If we don't clear out our energetic system on a regular basis, energy will just get, trauma will build up and up, stress will build up and up and up, and eventually it will overwhelm us, and it leads to breakdown, or it can even lead to physical health problems in our relationship, all caused by the fact that we're not regularly clearing out our energetic system. And so this is the one that I really preach to people, is about regularly bringing that awareness from the conditioned mind back into the felt sense of the body, so that you can clear out energy as it builds up during the day. It's absolutely vital, especially if you're building a business or looking for promotion in your work. You'll always be adding more and more challenges, or more, which is great. That's the great thing about the path of growth, is you're expanding, taking on more energy, but you've got to have a way to clear this energy out as it comes into the system. Otherwise, it's going to stop us in our tracks at some point.
Thank you. Tell us your 10 commandments for someone who would like to unlock their purpose.
10 commandments. Yes, I did a lot of thinking about this when this question. I saw you were going to ask this question, which is really good for me, actually, to sort of consolidate this into 10 steps. But I have come up with 10. The first, you are not your thoughts. As I've already talked about, until you realize this, it's very difficult to make any real life change, because you'll just, as I said, you're like a hamster on the wheel, just looping and in the same patterns, in the same thought process. It's very difficult to make any process. When you start to understand who you are, that you are not your thoughts, you can watch your thoughts, you can let thoughts go if you want to, you can then start to change your reality, because our reality basically reflects our thought process. Number one, you are not your thoughts. You've got to come to that realization. Number two, feel it to free it. So this is very much about the healing work that I've talked about. We've got to begin to establishing a practice that allows us to bring awareness from our head back into the body, to feel into all these trapped emotions that are built up through our lives. And then we can actually create space for new alignment, for a new reality to take place. Number three, as I've talked about, support is vital. You can't heal on your own. You can't really make any dramatic change to your life without support. I'm talking about having a coach, a mentor, a community that can support you as you go through the different challenges that come up on your journey. Number four, aligned action. So a lot of why people that I see are entrepreneurs is that they are just taking action all the time. They're working on their business constantly. They're working 16, 17, 18-hour days, and they're just constantly doing. The problem with that is that it's not the action that creates the result. It's the energy behind the action that creates the result. So if we're constantly working from a place of overwhelm and feeling on the edge of burnout, then we're going to create very low vibration results. We're going to attract people into our business who reflect that vibration, who are reflecting that their own burnout and overwhelm and scarcity. So very important to take action from a place of alignment. So when we're feeling good, we're feeling aligned, we take external action. If we're feeling overwhelmed and feeling under-resourced, we do the inner work. We focus on the inside, the healing work. Number five, we have all the answers within. So this is about accessing intuition. So instead of looking for other people for answers, for society or politicians, whoever it might be, we can actually go within and start feeling into our decisions. So again, this is, if we access the mind to make decisions, it tends to be a lot of confusion. We're unsure which path to take. But if you're able to feel through your decisions into the gut or the center of the chest, the heart, and take action with the answer that feels good to us, we can create a life that is full of passion and fulfillment instead of what I talked about earlier, which is the mind is always going to take you towards survival and safety. So very important to actually develop that felt sense for making decisions. Number 6, use your story to stand out. So this is where when we, in my programs, we move from the inner work to the outer work. And we first of all start looking into our life story, our hero's journey. And why this is really important is so we can start to pull out the points in our story that have been really valuable and that we can then use to serve others. And in an increasingly AI generated world, it's our story that will allow us to stand out. You know, a lot of people are just using AI to generate all their content, and they basically just blend in with all the other AI generated content. If we can share from our story and realize what our unique gifts are and, you know, our unique passions and, you know, who we're here to serve, then we can stand out and attract our ideal client. Number 7, purpose first, strategy second. So I experienced this in my early days of entrepreneurship. I went straight into a business model. It wasn't aligned with my purpose. And, you know, I had very poor results, basically. So it's really important to, first of all, establish this purpose, you know, that's aligned with your passions, aligned with your values, aligned with your unique gifts. If you really want to stand out, if you really want to connect and create a truly sustainable and fulfilling business. A lot of people will create a business that doesn't have a purpose. And even if they have success, they find that it's not particularly fulfilling. You know, a certain amount, financial wealth is great, but if it's not founded in purpose, then it doesn't really mean anything. It's not going to create any added fulfillment in your life. So purpose before strategy. Number 8, serve who you once were. So if you're unsure of who you're here to serve, a very good place to start is to look at yourself 3 years ago or yourself 5 years ago. Look at the challenges that you were going through and look at the individual pain points. You know, that's a great place to start because you know that person better than anyone else. You know that person inside out. You know their challenges, you know their pain points, you know their struggles, and you can create a solution to their problems. So that's, if you're unsure on who you're here to serve, just look at yourself 5 years ago and look at the challenges that you've moved through since and how much value you could give to that person. Number 9, getting there, nearly there, Lily. Number 9, a clear vision. Like, we've got to have an idea of the impact we want to have on the world. We've got to have an idea of the future we want to create for ourselves, so we can stay in alignment. And you know, it's key to manifestation to be able to, not so much to have you know, be absolutely trained in on one life that we have to create for ourselves, but it's more the feelings, to generate the feelings of the future we want to create for ourselves, abundance, fulfillment, passion. And the more we generate those feelings, the more we attract them into our life. So having a very clear vision of the life we want to create for ourselves and the impact we want to have on the world really is crucial. Last one, trust the seasons. Life, like, you know, the planet has seasons. There'll be times when we are in the energy of spring and summer in our life, and that's the time to create from, the time to build from. There'll be times in our life where we have times when we're shedding, autumn and winter, years even, and those are not the time necessarily to be creating from, building a business, for example, or a new career. Those are the times to focus very much on the healing, on the inner work. We all have challenges that come up in life, and it's really important to honor the times when we're called inwards to do the inner work, to do the healing work. If we try and create, we're trying to build from that energy, again, we're going to have low grade results and potentially burn ourselves out. So just honor the way you're feeling. Always trust your body, and, you know, create when you're feeling truly aligned.
Thank you. Tell us where entrepreneurs can connect with you so they too can unlock their purpose.
Yes, well, my site, thebuddhaspot.com, a lot more information on there about me and my own journey. More importantly, there's a free 10-step guide to uncovering your purpose, which you can download for free on the homepage of my site. That includes meditations, includes my free purpose alignment assessment, so you can get an idea of exactly where you're at right now and what you need to work on. There's all kinds of worksheets and journal prompts in there. 10 steps that, if you're unsure where you are right now and where to go, that can begin your journey. And beyond that, I have a free Unlock Your Purpose workshop that I hold once a month. We can also have details on my site. So it's all there on thebuddhaspot.com. I'm also on social as well, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the different places.
Follow me for more interviews with world's most innovative health change makers to live your healthiest life ever.